Hey, you too. All right, so you already see the title. You already know what's up. I personally clicked this video because I want to see who he's going to pick. Is it going to be a team from the Eastern Conference or is it going to be a team from the West? Because I have a couple dark horses too, but I'm not an analyst. I am not a professional. I am casual. All right. But let's get into it. This is Rusty Buckets, the dark horse of the 2023 NBA playoffs. Let's get it.
As the playoffs get closer and closer,
Let's get it.
people are naturally talking about what teams they're expecting to
Kyrie's
do
so
really well
nasty.
in this year's playoffs. And I feel like one team among the many in this discussion have gone a little under the radar. This is a team that everyone acknowledges is good. I don't think there's a single person who would say
Rest
they're
in peace,
not.
Kobe.
They're a team that maybe some people think borderline contenders, but either way, a team we all acknowledge is good. At the same time, I still feel hasn't gotten quite enough credit. I don't believe that this team is taken as seriously by the majority as they should be. This is a team that I think has a good chance of upsetting a few teams people would consider much better. And I would not be
okay?
surprised at all if they made a deep playoff run. The team I am talking
And
and I would not be surprised a few teams people would consider much better. And I would not be surprised at all if they made a deep playoff run. The team I am talking about is the Cleveland Cavaliers.
whoa, whoa. Okay, I didn't think he'd pick my Cavs. Hold on.
Run. The team I am talking about is the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I thought he was gonna go with I wanted to go further back. My bad. I thought he was gonna go with the Sacramento Kings. I thought he made a win
the NBA
with.
playoffs right around the corner. Now is the perfect time to check out this video sponsor.
I thought he would have went
Prize
with
Picks.
like.
Prize Picks is the easiest way to play
Denver's not a
daily
dark horse,
fantasy.
you know what I'm
For
saying?
someone who is new to daily fantasy, I could not be happier with the app's
Somewhere
easy
along
layout and experience. It is just you versus the projections.
no
Select
money
2
in
to
there.
6
Oh,
players
those
and
are
pick
winnings.
whether you think they will get more or less
No.
than their set projection. Get them
The
all
$40
right,
is
and
what
you
he
can
won.
win up to 25 times your money. Prize Picks is also introducing something.
I'm on
it's
punishment,
free.
so I gotta
It's
skip
an
this.
give app and Prize Picks team that
I'll be off
issues
punishment in the
considered
playoffs.
Bad, so maybe dark horse is a little bit of an exaggeration, but either way, you know. just
I
to be
agree,
cool
as a
to talk
Cavs
about how
fan.
good I think this team is.
I agree.
I'd say a majority of people would consider the Cavs to be contenders, but I
Mitch,
think
that's
in
my
the
boy.
case for almost everyone, there are definitely 3 teams ahead of them coming out of the East if they were to pick. And don't get me wrong, that's like the
Yo,
right
these
pick.
Knicks are some
But it feels
bad
like
motherfuckers
people are
this year,
being
bro.
A little too dismissive of the Cavaliers here.
Yeah,
Almost like they're just
we can
throwing
fuck you
them
up.
in, like, I guess.
It's
And
just
really, I think they have a real shot of looking just as dangerous as some of those teams above them. Now, as far as why I think so highly of this team going into the playoffs,
Talk
there's
to
really
me.
2 factors.
Talk to me.
The first is the Donovan Mitchell playoff factor. Playoff Donovan Mitchell, playoff D. No, that doesn't work. Either way, Donovan Mitchell rises to a Donovan Mitchell playoff D. No, that doesn't work.
Yes, it do. Giving her that playoff D, boy.
Either way, Donovan Mitchell
You gonna end up with a
superstar
ring, all
level
right.
routinely in the
I'll tell you
playoffs.
that.
He was not very good last year.
Give her
and
some
the
playoff
2 years
D.
before that, he was just absolutely electric in the playoffs.
Jesus,
And the ability
57.
to elevate his play to that
We
level
always
really
forget these
makes me
great
confident
games.
in them having that superstar
We
element,
as in
which you
casuals.
really need, generally speaking, to win a championship. But the second thing, something I'm going to be explaining in far more depth, is I think this team is designed to upset teams that people view as top dogs above them. In particular, 2
I
of
agree.
the 3 teams
2
above
7-footers.
them, I think they are
Dynamic
built to
as guards.
upset. Now, those 3 teams, of course, are the Bucks, the Celtics, and the Sixers. And
Sixers beat our ass. Celtics dismantled us. We only beat them when they were injured. Bucks beat our ass. Except for I think we did win
those
once in the
3,
season.
the Bucks and the Sixers, I think the Cavs are designed to upset. The Cavs are the perfect team to stop an interior scoring threat, whether it be Joel Embiid or Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Sixers
This
whooped
is
our
thanks
ass,
to
though.
their insanely great defensive bigs, those 2 being Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen.
But they have
Take a
to
look
play
at the
hard.
game
They
that
have to.
Giannis
They have
and
to
Embiid
play like
played
big
versus
men.
the Cavs this year. There's a little bit of a mixed bag in this, but I do think there is a point here. Now, Giannis actually has 2 great games against the Cavs this year, but in neither of those games did Jarrett Allen or Evan Mobley play their full minutes. They both got injured in either game.
They have to play
and
hard,
missed
bro.
a key chunk of time.
They
but
stay healthy.
even though I do give that excuse for the good performances there, Evan actually gave him hell entirely by himself in the third game of the season. Yeah, Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley didn't get full time together really against Giannis at any point this season. Just about, I think, 15, 20 minutes at the most. But overall, Evan Mobley managed to lock him up. As for in their third game versus the Cavs, Giannis shot 6 for 18 and finished with 16 points. Now, in the case of Joel Embiid, he had a 36 and 18 game on good efficiency against just Evan Mobley. The second game, he had a solid performance, even though he did shoot 9 for 21. And in the last game, he had 19 points on 6 for 16 shooting. Obviously, there are mixed results there, but I think the fact that those two, or at least Evan in the case of Giannis, this team was able to create bad performances, pretty bad performances, for those
some
two
really good
players with their defense. I really think that the Cavs defense can bother these two, who are probably two of the three most unstoppable scorers in the entire NBA right now.
You are one
they
sweaty
can bother them enough to genuinely disrupt the offense to a degree that can win the Cavs multiple games. As much as the Bucks have made strides to not live and die by Giannis, they still kind of do to some extent. The Bucks are 4-3 in games where Giannis shoots below 40% from the field. Obviously, that's not a negative win percentage.
No, but it's still pretty bad for the Bucks.
Win percentage there is a far cry from the 74% they average otherwise. Don't get me wrong, Giannis could end up having a bad day, and
Giannis can get hurt,
and or Chris Middleton end up saving the day. That's very well possible. But I think if regularly in a series you have the Bucks needing Drew and Chris to make up for a lack of good play from Giannis, then ultimately you're winning that defensive assignment. If you're making those guys the real primary shot creators, the real ones generating the offense,
it's a wrap.
Even though they're pretty good at it themselves,
they're damn good, especially one-on-one.
As when Giannis has it going. So ultimately,
gravity
win there. At that point, the Cavs are making the Bucks.
Jarrett Allen's just such a good dude, bro.
And that's definitely the right position.
Look at that.
I think the same could be applied to Embiid if they played.
Just do that in the game.
Jarrett Allen can do a good enough job defending Embiid one-on-one. Not going to lock him down by any metric, but he's definitely not a mismatch by any one-on-one. Not going to lock him down by any metric, but he's definitely not a mismatch.
Nigga think he a Labrador.
And then Evan Mobley will be ready for him in the paint to bring help defense, which will force Embiid to be pretty much entirely in the mid-range, which he's still very good at, but keeping Embiid to be pretty much entirely in the...
That's fire. That's a good tattoo right there.
Mid-range, which he's still very good at, but keeping him out of the paint, keeping his free throw attempts low, that kind of stuff, it really slows him down. And they will be able to swarm him and make him feel like he has little space to work with. And we've seen both in the case of Embiid and Giannis, they often struggle with passing out of double teams and having just a lot of pressure on them all of a sudden.
Normally don't have to.
So that could force turnovers, and then that leads to offense. But there is a noteworthy hole that exists.
We don't always capitalize on our turnovers.
That I can't ignore. It is quite easily my biggest concern for them going into the playoffs, and that is their lack of perimeter defense. This is why I don't like this team's odds against the Boston Celtics at all.
They would obliterate our shit.
Celtics, of course, are a far more perimeter-oriented team than the Sixers and
1 through 5.
Where the Cavs excel in front court defense, they very much lack in backcourt defense. To give credit where it's due, Donovan Mitchell has clearly put in more effort defensively.
He has stepped up.
And maybe that will translate well enough on the playoffs that it's less of an issue than I think it
Darius is
will
young.
be. But either way, still not a plus defender, nor is Darius Garland. And they're both pretty small. Donovan Mitchell is bigger than his height would suggest because of his wingspan and all that.
And his vertical.
Either way,
he plays.
They're not very tall.
6'6".
They're not very good defensively, and they're not very hard to get by. Now, obviously, still having a very strong interior defense.
Donovan's getting a lot better.
From being a disaster, but ultimately, it's just going to be teams shooting over chairs. And I do worry that while you will be able to slow down a Giannis or an Embiid potentially, Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton, or James Harden and Tyrese Maxey will be able to pick up the slack. as I mentioned previously, it's better to have it go that way than not. But it's also a problem that James Harden and Tyrese Maxey would have such easy opportunities to score given their matchup. Same for
Exactly.
Chris and Drew. So after
Exactly.
Garland and Donovan, off of the bench are not getting electrifying perimeter D from Karis LeVert or Cedi Osman. Again, they might.
Chetty. Now, one thing I want to say is, honestly, I actually kind of want him to go back, right? Double take on that, because when our Cavs bench comes up, you got Ricky, Chris. When I realized we got Chris LeVert like damn near for free, the Cavs stole him. He's been great off the bench. I feel like that's where we kind of excel compared to a lot of the teams in the East. We have great depth.
Might do a passable job, but nothing that great. They only have 2 players who can defend well on the perimeter. Those 2 players being Lamar Stevens and Isaac Okoro. The problem comes on the other end of the floor because
I can kinda
if
agree
you're
with
playing
that.
either of them, you're pretty
Numbers
much
wise.
accepting that one player in your team's offense just is not going to be guarded, because Lamar Stevens and Isaac Okoro are the type of players the teams leave open in the playoffs. I know Isaac has shown signs of shooting better. I think there's been times where Lamar Stevens has been all right. But trust me, they're getting left open, and I don't think they're going to prove teams wrong if they do play. So you're taking a huge offensive hit by making that defensive adjustment. But say that does work, even then you've only got one good perimeter defender out there with 2 other poor ones. So you're not sitting that pretty. Ultimately, you have to play Garland and Mitchell a ton of time, and that hole is just inherently going to exist. Don't like how that sounded, but whatever. Now, as previously mentioned, the other factor is Donovan Mitchell. While last year's playoffs were rough for Mitchell, we know he has shown an ability to elevate his play a ton. So you combine his capability of single-handedly carrying offenses to playoff wins with the factor of their defense and how it is built to upset 2 of the top 3 teams in the conference. I think this team upsetting a top dog wouldn't even be the biggest surprise in the world. It might be to some of y'all, but to me it would not be. Hell, maybe they could even win the whole damn thing. I'm more likely
What a
to
steal.
bet that they, like, I don't know, push the Bucks to 6 or 7 than actually win. I still think everything
Giannis
that I
gets
said,
hurt, we
I
can pull
would
that
take
off.
those other 3 teams above the Cavs. But I think people would be a
Obviously.
little too shocked that the Cavs did this, because on the right day, they compete with these teams just as well as anybody. Or maybe because I made a really long video giving them a ton of
We don't
praise
last
right
as long.
before heading into a playoff setting, I just jinxed them, and Cavs fans will forever hate me. In which case, sorry.
Why'd you have to end it like that, Rusty? Why? Now you might have to be on the list, boy. Like what the fuck? Like, all right, well, fuck it. We're gonna just go ahead. You already know what time it is. It's time for you to hit the noti bell, get to know me well. Ain't nothing left to say. Everybody have a blessed day. I love you so much.